All right, welcome everybody. This is Richard from Slow, Smooth, Fast. And today, on this humid day, we've got Ed with one of his soldiers, new rider on a sport bike, CBR 600. We're going to go ahead and go through our practice course this morning. So stay tuned.
slower and I was going 1 mile per hour.
Yeah.
I was like, how much slower?
peak of the slow ride. And now you're making that 90-degree turn. Head and eyes, turn the handlebars, throttle, find that friction zone. Here we got Stacy in her CBR. Right? Head and eyes. Look up, not at the cones. Good? All right, so remember, when you're coming around that turn, don't look down. Head and eyes forward. If you're wanting to make that left turn, just like I showed you earlier, right? Head and eyes all the way. And now you're going to slow ride as straight as possible through this turn. All right? Head and eyes, friction zone, rear brake. There you go. Head and eyes, head and eyes. Better, better. Those bikes have a tendency to want to lean. Head and eyes, friction zone. You could hear it in his throttle. He let off on it. Head up, turn, friction zone, rear brake. Good. We're gonna go to the left, they're right again. I'm gonna stop Stacy when she comes up. All right, so same thing applies here. Why'd you think you went too wide over there? Too fast, right? So slow it down. If you're idling through this like you were on the slow race, then use that. And then use your clutch to stay in that friction zone. If you find yourself going too fast, use your rear brake to stabilize you and slow you down in small increments, okay? As soon as you reach that turn, don't cut it. So if you're coming wide, as soon as you hit that turn, you're locking your wheels and you're looking. Stacy, you're looking. You're looking at my camera, not down at the cones. All right? Throttle. Good. All right, so he's got his throttle up. Friction zone. There you go. Throttle up. Friction zone. Rear brake to stabilizer. There you go. All right, all you're doing is slow riding to the left. Feet up, feet up, feet up. There you go. All right, so if you find yourself, if you feel you're gonna drop, throttle out, just cut it, okay? We're not trying to drop the bike. If it happens, it happens, but we're not trying to. So if you feel like you're gonna drop it, all you do is let the clutch out, give it some throttle, and just get out of the drill, okay? So do I turn it already? You can start that way. For you, it's probably better to start turned because you don't have a good turning radius. Okay. But look up, and you're looking at my camera. Take your feet up. More practice. That's okay. That's what we're here for. Head and eyes. Turn, 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 turn. There you go. All right. Remember, as soon as you start moving, your left foot comes up. Turn, turn, turn. Head up, head up, head up. There you go. A little bit better. Still a little fast, but we already know sport bikes are a different animal. There you go. Sport bikes don't have that turning radius, so it is a little bit difficult. Turn, 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 turn. There you go. One more left turn, and then we're going to take a break. Ed likes left turns. Ready? Left. I mean right. You're my left. You're right. Head up, head up, head up, head up. All right. How you feel? So, like I said, it's the same technique as the slow ride, except now you're applying it while you're turning. So, understanding, right? Like, turn. You want to turn your bars, Ed?
Yeah, my bad. I'm getting attacked by him. I never learned.
So look at how far Ed's bars turn. Right, you got a lot more turning radius versus yours are already fully locked, and you might have like 20, 30 degrees. But that's because your bike was more meant to lean. Yeah. So understanding you're not going to make those turns like we will, because your straight up turning radius isn't there, right? So it's going to require you more practice on throttle control, staying in that friction zone, and using your rear brake to control your speed through it, right? Because it sounded like you were just idling through that drill, right? And it was still a little fast. So even if you just practice on your own, just a straight line slow ride, to see where you can manage that speed without stalling your bike, right? And that's the purpose of staying staying on your throttle, is to have that power available. So if you feel your bike's about to tip, you let go of your clutch, your power's already there, and it just goes. All right, so that takes practice. You actually did pretty good. You managed to stay in the lane. For, like I said, for what I would expect out of a beginner on a sport bike, and not just like a little dinky 2-cylinder sport bike. You got 600, right? That's more power than you'll ever need on the street, ever. So, not bad, considering you're working with a limited turning radius, and you're trying to work that limited turning radius without leaning your bike. All right. And again, leaning your bike's not wrong. It's just for what we're practicing straight up technique. So next we're gonna do the Rob Simmons patented trust and believe, and we'll both go through it so you can see us both do it. All right, so he's going ahead and explaining to her the process. Getting into that friction zone with your throttle and clutch, right foot covering your rear brake. Once you get into that friction zone, picking up your left foot, and as soon as you feel your bike lean over, you gently throttle out so you don't drop your bike. What's the purpose? Is to find your friction zone, know where your limits are. So if you find yourself in a scenario where you're about to drop your bike on a slow speed, you know where your power band is, and you can get out of it. First gear, right foot covering your rear brake, clutch, finding that friction zone, right? Staying right there. See how as soon as I let off, so that's my friction zone right there. For you, it'll probably be a little bit different. Throttle up. All right. Cover your rear brake. First gear, friction zone. Finding that friction zone. Throttle. All right. So, now find your friction zone. See where it starts moving? Right there. So now you load your throttle just a little bit. Right, you're idling at 1500. That's a good throttle. Find that friction zone. Right foot should be covering your rear brake. Left foot up. And as soon as you feel your bike slightly tip, you let go. All right? But you gauge that. I'm not going to tell you when. As soon as you feel like the bike's going to tip, lightly throttle out and come to a smooth stop up front. There you go. Head and eyes up. Left foot up. Nope, stop. You want to put your foot up before it starts moving. You only move your bike once you feel like it's going to tip. That's what your clutch is for. Find that friction zone right before it starts to move and then pull back just a little bit. Now pick your left foot up, balance, and then throttle out. It's okay. Almost.
I was almost it.
You put your foot down as soon as the bike wanted a tip. That's when you throttle out of it. You got to get over that fear. That's what this practice is for. There you go. Oh, almost. Almost. We do that because by habit, we feel the bike falling and we want to stave it. We want you to get out of that habit and be able to throttle out. All right, foot up. Hold on. Pull your clutch back right before it wants to move. Right there. Hold it right there. Foot up. Almost. Go. Almost. Remember, you're at a stoplight. This is nothing different than a stoplight. Almost. There you go.
That was it.
Just pretend you're at a stoplight. You're at a stoplight, and you're getting ready to take off from a stop. Okay. Okay. Now come back around. Foot up, go. There you go.
There you go. That was it.
Again. Head and eyes up. You're looking at my camera. There you go. First gear. Find your friction zone. All right. Right foot covering your rear brake. Load your throttle. Foot up.
There you go. You feel that falling, that's when you just let the clutch out slowly. Let the clutch out.
Almost.
See, thinking about it, you know it too.
Look up here. Don't look down. Instead of putting your foot down, release your clutch and take off. Break that habit. Almost. Almost. Go back around. She's getting there. So she's thinking too much about it. You can see it in her eyes. Everything's running through her mind right now. And we're trying to break that habit of putting your foot down as soon as you're feeling your bike tip.
I know. That was it. You're doing it.
You're right there. First gear, cover your rear brake, find your friction zone. There you go. All right, and these sport bikes have really good balance, so they may not tip like ours do, like our cruisers do. But if she can hold a balance before she takes off, then we know she has the technique right. So that's the bad habit that people pick up is the bike wants to fall, and people want to immediately put their foot down to save their bike when they could do the same thing by just throttling out of it, right? So just think of it as a slow ride, right? The same technique. You're using your throttle and your friction zone to keep you from dropping your bike in this instance. So not bad, not bad at all for your first time. And as you do it more, you'll get better at it.
Also a bad habit to put your foot down because you don't want to like roll your ankle or if you put your foot down in gravel and slide and drop the bike on your foot or whatever.
Yeah.
Your leg, so.
You'll find gravel one day and you'll put your foot down and slip.
That's scary.
And then your bike either lands on your leg or you break your foot.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the purpose of having a skill set of being able to throttle out of a fall, especially at slow speeds. So how'd you feel about that?
Not good.
Not good.
No.
What part of it bothered you the most?
I guess just waiting for the lead, you know, and automatically.
And being that your bike is lighter, I can understand being a new rider and being that you have a lighter bike, your bike is more balanced than ours. So by the time you feel that lean, you're probably leaning a little bit further than we are, right? Because your bike is lighter. So it's not as top heavy as ours. Like as soon as ours starts leaning, we feel it, right? Versus you, it starts leaning, you're probably not even registering that it's already leaning before you're already going down, right? So that's where practice comes in. The more you practice that, the more you'll be accustomed to your bike because you want to ride your ride. When you practice on your bike so you know how to ride your bike. Because every bike, even if you buy another bike, what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to start practicing all over again from day one, so you can be as efficient as you can on whatever it is you're riding. Because I got another bike, it's a lot smaller, it's a Sportster, and I do the same thing with it. And it's completely different because my Sportster's like 500 pounds and this thing's 800 pounds, and the handling is so much different. So I have to be able to manage both. So before we go on rides, I usually go to a parking lot and practice my maneuvers real quick to warm up and get used to that bike. All right. So next, we're gonna go to the U-turns, the big box. So for you, this should relatively be easy because your bike wants to lean, right? Our bikes, we have to push to lean. And then once our bikes lean, we have to manage the lean because they're so heavy versus your bike just wants to go. So we're gonna go ahead and move over. We'll spend a few minutes cooling off here, then we're gonna move over to the big box. And we'll practice U-turns and large figure eights. So you might find yourself, if you go right out in the hill country, you might find yourself in a position where you have to make a U-turn.
No, I just keep going straight until I find somewhere to turn.
Yeah. With the road's closed, with the road's blocked off.
Well, then I get off the bike or I put it on neutral and then I
You duck walk it.
and then I'll reverse a little bit.
Yeah.
So
And I do like a 3-point turn standing. Yeah.
So the purpose is to give you the skills to not have to do that.
Yeah.
It's much easier if you're just going down the road to be able to just pop a UE.
Oh, I know that. I just can't do it.
Not yet. What's scary?
I did not like that. Trust me.
Yeah. I don't like that one either, but I still do it because that way it trains me to let the clutch out instead of putting my foot down.
Yeah.
Breaking my foot on the big bike.
Yep, especially on these big bikes.
If this falls over on me, it's gonna snap my ankle.
Yep. So just keep practicing. We typically do this every Sunday at 10. If he's not here because of work, I'm usually here. If you follow my Facebook, Slow Smooth Fast, I'll put in the usually I try to have the schedule up by Wednesday, but it's typically every Sunday at 10 o'clock. So just keep practicing and you'll get better. It's just, here's the thing, a lot of people, right, of all ages, they just want to get on a bike and ride, right? They don't practice the fundamentals. Like everything that we do here has a specific application, right? Anyone can ride a bike at speed because the bike carries itself. You don't have to do anything but steer it.
Yeah.
The bike stands up. The moment you pull throttle, the bike wants to stand up, right? Riding a bike on the street is easy because you're just whipping the throttle and you're going. It's when you have to do turns. Like you said, you're out, if you find yourself out and you got to do a U-turn,
Yeah.
you just go find a place that you can turn around as opposed
Yeah.
to doing a U-turn. So this helps, gives you the skills on the road. So you find yourself in traffic or there's a detour, you're not duck walking your bike, you can just pop a quick UE and go. Same thing with turns, same thing with slow rides. They all have a specific purpose. And the more you practice, the more it becomes second nature. So when you find yourself in a situation, you're not thinking, well, what am I going to do? You just do it, right? Same thing with, the weaves, right? The intent of the inline weave is not to go as fast as you can through it, is to avoid the obstacle. In the road, you're going to find yourself in a position to avoid an obstacle. So the more you practice, the better you'll get, the more comfortable you'll get.
Yeah. The MSF course is just one thing that like qualifies you to go get your license kind of thing.
Yeah.
But doing this like every weekend or every couple weekends or whatever, that's what actually keeps you good at it.
And this is what the mentorship program is going to evolve to, is doing these things on a regular basis.
So everyone stays fresh, able to.
Especially if you haven't ridden in a while.
Yep. So since y'all are going to deploy for more than 6 months, guess what you have to do when you come back? You have to take BRC2 again, MSF course. Yes, by regulation, you have to. More than 6 months of no riding, you can take a BRC again. So you have to take the BRC course with your bike now.
Yeah, that's what they told me, but I told the XO and I just got the bike.
Within a year of getting your bike right. So it's been longer than 6 months since you've taken the MSF course, but you haven't been riding for a year. So from the moment you get a bike, within a year of you getting your first bike, you have to take BRC2. So you can get into a class now before you leave, take it, just so you have an idea of what to expect. It's going to be very similar to this, right? Not everything, because they don't focus just on slow speeds. They focus a lot on different skills. But I would take it if you can before you leave, because when you come back, you're going to have to take it. All right? All right, thanks, Stacy.
Well, that's really
Nice meeting you.